What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again, episode 177. I am your host, Anthony Trapani, as always. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to do this right now. I'm from a band, Odious Mortem, and I'm from a band called Severed Savior. If you ever want to check that out. I mean, we were just talking pre-pod how we never plug our bands. But yeah, dude, here we are. I got a couple resident homies with me. Going to have the full crew soon. Joel the Gorilla will be with us at some point tonight, and he'll pop in. I mean, tonight, add to the list of special guests we've had on this show for the fucking 3-4 years we've been doing it now. Dean Lamb from Archspire is on our show, guys. What's going on?
Hey, I'm worth 75% of each one of you guys because I am Canadian. So we are slightly lesser, you know, we're just like, we're like almost there, not quite. We kind of blend and we kind of look like you guys, but
Totally.
it doesn't really, you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't really, it doesn't translate.
We were talking earlier about being bald and rocking the beard because we still can rock the beard. So you actually, we look like we could be related.
Yeah,
Actually,
which
I'm
is
rocking
gonna be
the beard
really
tonight.
difficult when we hook up later. The thing about it, I've always had a beard. I've had mutton chops, like big sideburns, ever since I was like 12. No, probably more like 15. Like it's been
As
it's
soon
been
as you
rough
could
ride.
grow them, as soon as you
Yeah.
could grow them, you let them rock.
Yeah. I don't think I got really. I wasn't exactly popular with the ladies in the mutton chop days.
I was in the mutton chop phase too, and that was literally because I just couldn't grow a full beard yet, couldn't connect like on these spots, you know. So you just leave that open. But hey, I could get them down to the jowls, dude, on the chops.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Same
Well,
boat.
cool, guys. Well, we're gonna be hanging out with Dean for a little bit tonight, and let's do what we usually do. Kick it off with some plugs real quick. BattleforgeCoffee.com. The homies in Deeds of Flesh started a coffee company a while ago, and we've been backing it ever since. Not only because it's friends of ours, but it's quality stuff. So I know we're all coffee drinkers here. If you're death metal and you like coffee, this is where you should be getting it from. Their shirts are actually really comfy too. I still wear one at least twice a month. And I rock the mug too. I'm just all about it on Saturday, Sunday mornings, dude. GeneratorRehearsalStudios.com down in Southern California, Oceanside specifically. You're anywhere near Oceanside and you are willing to make the drive to this spot, that's where you should go rehearse and make music, be creative, and maybe meet a Joseph or a Casey or somebody else who's already down there.
It's Casey's hometown once again. Hooray.
Oh yeah, back in Oceanside proper, dude. What up? Oh yeah, you can tell Casey's now out of Aspen.
Yep.
He's not in Aspen anymore.
Nope. That's it. It's real.
All right. And CaliDeathPodcast.BigCartel.com is where we would like you to go if you want to be a walking billboard for us, and maybe one person out of a week might recognize it or see it and go check it out, and then we get another subscription. So do that. Twitch.tv is where we do it live, and YouTube. So that's all that stuff. You're watching us live. It's on one of those two platforms, but it's up on YouTube forever after that. So yeah, Joseph and Casey, what up, dudes?
Yeah.
On. Love being with you guys every week. And yeah, Dean, same thing, dude. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight, dude. We were saying pre-pod that Archspire is a band that we've been fans for quite some time now, and I'm glad that this episode is finally happening, dude.
Yeah, well, yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, hey, we just make a bunch of, I don't know, we make a bunch of loud noises in a gross, dirty jam spot, just like everybody else.
Yeah,
so
dude.
I appreciate the love, though, dude.
That's a place to make them, dude. It's gross, dirty jam spots are where people really find their love for this shit, dude.
Yeah,
you're surrounded by scum. You might as well make some scum, dude.
We did, up until very recently, we were in a jam spot for 11 years. So we did a tour in Europe in 2011. It was our first European tour, and we moved out of our jam space to do that too. So we moved out, did the tour, came back, and we moved into this jam spot. So that's how long we've been in. We moved out of it last year, so maybe actually 12 or 13 years. We were there for so long.
Yeah, dude.
And when I say this place was disgusting, it was so gross that you would have to go home and scrub your skin when you got home, because it was underneath of an auto body shop. So all like the chemicals and stuff like that would like seep into the ground, and like it just, oh my God, it was so bad. It was like dingy
antifreeze condensation just collecting on your skin.
Yeah, exactly. So we finally left that jam spot and we went to another place, and we're like, man, we got this custom room. He built it for us. It's like we're so excited. Still a piece of shit, but it's way better. It's way better. So,
nice.
Dude, but I mean, when you're hungry though, dude, none of that matters. You're just like, fuck yeah, we got a space that we could just make as much noise as we want.
What does hunger have to do with it?
You know what I mean? Metaphorically speaking, hungry to make art, you know.
I think actually I was a little nervous to move out. I'll be honest, because you don't really know what comes together to make good music, and is it your environment? Is it the place that you put yourself in? And is a shitty, dingy place that you want to get the fuck out of a good thing in some way? Because you want to write the riffs, you want to get it, you know, or you know, like, is that suffering like part of it?
Maybe, dude.
I don't know.
I mean, it kind of, you could look at it as like the gym. You know, you go to the gym and you don't go to hang out at the gym. I mean, there are guys that do that. There are people that do that. But I'm the guy that if I go to the gym, I just want to get in, do my shit as, you know, as easy and without physical harm, and get it done as quick as possible. And so I can go on and move with my life. Well, it's the same thing with getting in there and having an idea of getting together. We're gonna play a great set, and we're gonna play it to the time that it would be us on stage, and then we're out of here, guys. You know, I mean, because
we're used to playing like shitty venues, so we're like, oh yeah, shitty, it's perfect, you know.
But I will say, let me just add to that though, because there is the other side of that, which I look at, you know, when I used to jam with Carnivorous and Severed in the same spot, it would become like a hangout too, you know. But again, the environment was, you know, tolerable enough to where we weren't scared to sit down or touch the walls or, you know, shit like that. Like we had like the camaraderie of a rehearsal also was there too. So I guess it is. I guess there's benefits there and cons to having an environment like that dingy automotive basement, where you just are forced to get in there and do what you're planning to do and then get out of there. But also, you know, kicking it with the homies after a rehearsal and drinking some beers and throwing the football around or kicking a hacky sack around is also fun too.
I don't really know if we do that as much now. I feel like we used to, but we kind of, I don't know, because we jam 3 days a week, daytimes. And so we're there at 1:30 in the afternoon till 4:35 maybe. So it really does feel like we'll go out and hang out sometimes afterwards. Like we're all going to go to Cannibal Corpse this weekend. But I don't know. I think it used to be sort of a hangouty thing when we would jam at 6. And then you would stop jamming at 8 or 8:30 or whatever. And you'd be like, let's have a beer here or whatever. And there was like a nice place to hang out at our old jam spot, just kind of like down by the water and here in Vancouver. But yeah, it's sort of just, we've sort of morphed into like, it's just go to write for 3 hours a day, 3 times a week in the middle of the day, and then kind of go do whatever else. It sort of changed it. I don't know.
Do you feel like it's more, and not, I'm not saying this in a negative way, but do you feel like you're kind of punching a ticket when you go and you're punching in and then you punch out, and then life is, you know, segmented or compartmentalized outside of that completely?
Yeah. I mean, it's become just, which I think is kind of cool. It's kind of good. You have like a real, I don't know, because it is our only, like all of us, that's just our job, is just the band at the current, at you know, as it is right now. And so it's kind of like, here's the one, here's the one thing I have to do today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
No,
you
I
kind of
get
make
it,
it, you
dude.
know, you make it kind of as efficient and we've been writing quite a bit lately, and we're writing for our 5th album, which is pretty crazy. And
Nice.
we are in terms of like writing skeletons for songs, we're pretty much done.
Sweet.
Pretty much, I think.
Which we should actually, we got into conversation real quick, but we threw some plugs. You throw out some plugs too. Where do you want people to?
Oh my
go?
goodness.
Yes.
Can I? Okay, yeah. Hey, if you're watching this, oh my god, if you know who I am with my stupid face, I play in the death metal band Archspire from Vancouver, BC, Canada, and my band is going on tour. Oh my goodness, I'm just going to quickly run through the dates. I'll just
Do
quickly run
it.
through the dates.
Hey, we're here for it.
Archspire playing with Aborted and Carcosa and Alluvial. It's the Everything's Fuck tour. We're starting in Edmonton on May 31st, then Calgary, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Minneapolis, Chicago, Detroit, Toronto, Montreal, Quebec City, Boston, Brooklyn, Baltimore, Charlotte, Atlanta, Tampa, Florida, Lauderdale, Orlando, Houston, Dallas, Austin, Phoenix, Santa Ana, Sacramento, Portland, Seattle, Vancouver. And if I could say one thing to specific dates, if you know anybody in Saskatoon that wants to come see us, please tell them to come see us. For some reason, if you know anybody in Austin that wants to come see us, please tell them to come see us.
All right.
And maybe even Quebec City. Things are going well, but yes, please come see us. It's the death metal party of the summer.
Sick, dude.
Nice.
And then what about central hubs? You got websites, social media, and all that stuff that you want people to go to?
Yeah, archspiretickets.com I think would be the place to go.
Where can we buy Archspire merch online?
Ooh, those old rags. Yeah, we're on Indie Merch and Night Shift and Empiricon and all of the classic places. If you just Google Archspire merch, I'm sure you'll find some sort of bootleg T-shirt with our vocalist's face on it with some thing that he didn't say quoted underneath of it or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, we got merch all over the place. We're a merch heavy band. We like to sell our souls and put them on T-shirts for everybody to wear.
That's the main means of income for an underground technical death metal band, right?
It's true. It is.
I am
true.
the proud owner of a Relentless Mutation print from Sheet Happens, which is not on display. I do have Thank You Scientist prints on display, but the Archspire one looks exactly like that. It's the album art. It's in my studio.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
And then you got your own YouTube page too, Dean, right?
Yeah, I fuck around and I do dumb stuff. Me and my wife try to learn death metal together, and it's always fun. So
I had a fun time checking out a few of your videos this week, dude. And yeah, I dig because now that we've done this show long enough, we've come across a few people that are couples that also play metal, and they're doing their separate things but living in the same household. And I like your and your wife's dynamic when you do those videos and learn each other's riffs and review them and rate them and all that stuff. Give them 4 or 5 bloated faces. And
Dean, so you guys played at the Kiesel guitar event.
Yeah, we did.
So that was really cool. It was like I went to the Kiesel guitar event that Cynic played as Mike Gilbert's first show and all that, and all that. And basically, right as we did the studio tour with like Diego and stuff, like we went around the studio, like the shop, and like all the CNC machines and the whole how they do everything and the guitars, and then as we're coming out at the very end, we see you and your wife going on stage to like perform, and I think I met you briefly at like out or like there or something, or with Diego, and then we like walked out, and then like we saw you guys play. It was awesome. Super
Thanks.
Cool. And she's got a rad voice too. It was really cool, right?
Yeah, death metal vocals is my wife's kind of new passion. She had a bout of tendonitis with her right arm. I think right arm. And so it kind of rendered her more or less unable to like play real shreddy stuff for about 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's something that she's kind of struggled with. And so in that time, she started to be like, well, you know what? Maybe I could transition a little bit and just do vocals. Mm-hmm. And so she started learning how to do vocals, and she just like took to it super quickly and has like absolutely obsessed over it, all the techniques, how to do it properly. And then started her band, Mazirion, which is a great death metal / black metal band, who's actually playing with us. They're opening the Vancouver date of our Everything's Fuck tour. And I'm very, very excited with that. She's got a great a great voice. And then since then, she's also gone through some treatment that's helped her arm now. So she's been able to actually do performances where she plays super fast trim pick, brutal death metal riffs, and then just like it's awesome to watch.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's rad, dude, and that's super cool that you guys are able to play certain gigs together and stuff like that. I just love that, dude, because my wife's been in the crowd for many of my shows, but to think of collaborating on an artistic level, she's artistically not, she doesn't work in music, but I'm just saying, like, the idea of somebody who has a common passion and you guys are able to work together, I love that, dude. I think it probably makes your relationship stronger in a way.
Yeah, you'd think. Yeah, you'd really hope that. No, things are fine. I'm not horribly depressed. No, things are good. Things are good. Yeah, I mean, when the only problem is that when you get in a relationship with somebody, because we've been together for almost 10 years now,
Nice.
When you get in a relationship with somebody who, well, I'll tell this. This is a frustrating thing. When I first met her, she didn't know as much music theory as I did. So I would regale her with things about tritone substitutions and all this kind of stuff and nerdy bullshit that I thought sounded cool, but really I didn't really necessarily understand. But hey, whatever, I talk about it. And she'd go, oh yeah, that's really interesting. And now she just crushes me with music theory.
Really?
She went through two different programs learning classical music theory and contemporary music. So she'll just I'll say something. She's like, that's not right. I'm like, God damn it. What the hell happened? And so I can't have anything in this damn relationship.
But that's what I think that is where the relationship is getting stronger, because you've brought something to the table that influenced her to take a path, and now she is one-upping you in that same thing that you brought to the table, and it's kind of like a back and forth kind of recharging and energizing thing.
Yeah, well, it's good that that's happened, because I have a terrible penis, so nobody would want to see that. It's not useful at all. So yeah,
that's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
Now you're making me think about. I'm sorry. Now you're making me think of like how your penis would be playing Archspire stuff. It's got to be sucked in like it's.
That's where your brain went. All right, cool. Yeah. So you're imagining my penis playing a guitar?
I am.
By
the way, you're the one who just brought up your penis. I'm just now.
Oh, sure,
it's brought into my thoughts, so I was thinking it might be like one of those, hypothermic situations where it kind of almost sucks into your body because you don't have any energy other than playing the guitar.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite. It gets all hot because you get all, you're sweating.
Oh, dude, that's actually more sounding like you gain a half inch to an inch as you're playing a show because of all the heat.
It's like getting out of the sauna. You're just like loose and hanging.
Totally, dude.
All droopy.
Ideally. Yeah.
Droopy and drippy. Yeah.
Dude, droopy and drippy, dude. Those are the names of my balls, actually.
We're gonna have to circle back on this when Joel gets here, but yeah.
Ask him how it hangs for a silverback. All right.
Yeah. Speaking of wieners, like we got to hang out that night also. After party, it was pretty rad. A bunch of wieners hanging out, dude. We were like high-fiving and shit.
Tons of after party wieners just floating around.
It was really interesting, just like at at the Stone Brewery and like being upstairs with you guys, and then that's when I started talking with you, Dean, a bunch, and that was really fun. And talking with Jeff, the Kiesel guitar god, whatever, and then other people that were there and stuff, and Paul and all kinds of. It was really just super fun. And then I remember going downstairs, and then it was like so interesting, just like hanging with like Paul from Cynic, of course, and then Mike Gilbert, and just at the same table, us all talking, just like it's a normal conversation. Yeah, let's go. Like, it's just like surreal, man. It's like, I mean, I've known Paul for about a year now, and like it's still surreal, like hanging out with him. I'm just like, dude, you're like the nicest guy. It's just weird that we're like friends. It's like I don't get it, but anyways, it was just a magical night. And
I thought you were going to say the same thing about me.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And Travis from Cattle, all of us.
No. Go back to me.
Saying, I was hanging out with very important people that night, and you were one of those important people.
You were on that list.
It was like meeting a bunch of death metal politicians or something.
I did kind of get that vibe. It's cool. I mean, like you do get a cool vibe when you hang out in a room with a bunch of people who. And I mean, there aren't really that many. I mean, think about how many death metal bands there are. There's a lot of death metal bands, but in comparison to other genres, there's probably less just because it's a smaller genre. But then when you then narrowed it down to bands that have released full albums and bands that have gone on full tours, bands that have, maybe they've gone full time with it really narrows it down. And everybody has like a different viewpoint to it. Everybody has because it is a very it's a weird thing to do, to go start a business, not a business, but a business with your friends. You get in a group of people that you trust musically, that you're interested in seeing kind of where it goes in terms of collaboration. And then you start dealing with money immediately. And I love the business side of the band. I mean, it is a lot of work, but it is fun, interesting, and exciting to kind of learn that side of it. And it really is empowering. But to think about how many bands, all of us, we're all people that have gone a certain distance with music, and especially with extreme music. I mean, it's like we're part of a very small club. And you know what? I wish the club was bigger. Anybody that's listening to this, if you're in a band, take it seriously, push yourself, learn the business side of it. Don't allow yourself to get pushed around, because it really is an important thing to put out art, put out music, and do something that you're passionate about, and do it at a very high level, and be very detail oriented. And I just love to meet more people that are like that. And like I said, I wish the group was bigger.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But there is a common thing that's happening amongst all those people. When you meet everybody, you just realize metal, although there's all those elements that you just mentioned involved in being one of those types of artists, we're all, kind of humble and nice people. I've already noticed that about you, and
it's a facade. It's a very, very well hardened facade. No. You're right. For the most part, everybody in this genre is very, I think the big thing you have to realize too is getting to that point where you can go on tour and come back and maybe pay your rent is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
But then also you have to realize it could end at any second.
Yes.
You have to take it.
Yeah.
The opposite of taking it for granted. You need to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy this for the moment, because tomorrow it could be over.
Right.
And that really is true. Just in terms of financials, in terms of the way the markets go, in terms of members that have creative differences, or, there's just so many things that could happen. It's almost just almost barely there, and you're just holding on to it.
What's going on? No, just kidding.
So we're talking about current stuff, but Dean, on the show, we like to get some of your past too, since we're probably not going to have you as long as we have our normal guests, but
absolutely. I just want to chime in real fast, and just to circle back to, that's a very Zoom thing to say. What you said about taking it seriously with Archspire and committing, and I just want to say it's inspirational that you guys have had the success you've had, being able to have your own tour every year, bring out, assuming bands you like to be out with, and putting out these records and just making it full time. It's we're all just okay, how do we do that? You guys figured it out. And it's funny, David Tarot quipped once, he's like, yeah, there's money in tech death, and Archspire has all of it. And we're just
that's the quote I was thinking of, dude.
That's what's up, dude.
I have a single $20 bill on my desk.
No, I know. I'm sure it's hey, get it, whatever it is out there, chase it for as long as you can. We're all on top,
you guys are like the Taylor Swift of death metal. There's a popularity, and everybody loves you. It's you can't hate on.
No, but I mean, it's really inspiring. I mean, the last couple of records in particular raised the bar. I remember showing KC some of the playthrough videos at that time when I was just coming over to your place after I started working at Visions, and I was like, dude, this is the new record from Archspire. You got to hear this. So it has been part of our little resurrection friendship area for a while. So
and also
I'll tell you the only reason why we've ever done anything at all. It's because we realized that no one's going to do it for us. That's it. We go, you know what? No one's going to do this shit. We're not going to find the manager that's going to do it. We're not going to find, and that's not to say people haven't been helpful. And we have there's no way we could do anything without the people that we work with, but no one's going to have the same passion for the thing that you're doing that you do. And if you have the most amount of passion and you like claw your way to the next thing, that's the only way to do it, in our opinion. You know?
Totally.
And, yeah, that really is it. But hey, I mean, like, I'm talking to a bunch of incredible musicians. It's funny to hear that, because you know, Odious, Mortem, and Severed Savior are bands that we and I mentioned this before the interview started. We started the band with a bunch of bands in mind: Immolation, Dying Fetus, Necrovagist, Origin, The Faceless, Odious, Mortem, Severed Savior. All these bands. These were the bands that we Flesh God Apocalypse. These were the bands that we started wanting to model ourselves after and combine elements of everything that we. And so, you know, I mean, how many times have I listened to Severed Savior? A lot. You know, it's definitely. So I mean, everybody is just part of the same thing, and all boats kind of rise, you know. And it's like, you know, that's a big reason. Like, a lot of people talk about how, you know, it's amazing that Lorna Shore has done this, and maybe they have some haters. I don't really know if they do, but what I think about Lorna Shore is the biggest extreme band that has ever existed. I think. I don't think that there's a bigger band than them in terms of extreme death metal. And if you listen to them, brutal vocals, stupidly fast drumming, insanely technical guitar parts. I mean, show me a more, in my opinion, show me a more extreme band than that. I don't really know if there is any band that is more extreme.
I mean, definitely not at that level. I would say maybe Gojira might be hovering, not necessarily in sound or anything, but as far as like extreme elements that have climbed further than any other extreme band has. I would say that Gojira could be in that argument, but they don't sound like Lorna Shore, you know.
No, they do not. And they're great. And I love Gojira. They're like one of my all-time favorite bands, but they have a radio edge to them. They have a bit more of something that you can grab onto, a little bit more. And the tempos are slower, and they're aggressive, and they're, you know, they're full on, but their full on moments, they're not Lorna Shore's full-on moments, you know. And correct. When I think about that, and even though they're in a deathcore genre, and you know, sometimes death metal guys, the word core kind of bums us out or whatever. I think that band is not only making a name for themselves as the biggest extreme band that I think has ever existed, at least right now, how big they are right now, they're making it a lot easier for all the rest of us as well.
I don't know what nerves it's hitting for anybody else that might, you know, have a negative response to Lorna Shore. And I'm not a Lorna Shore fan. I've listened to their music, and every time I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I've never had the visceral response that some people might have to that. Just it almost, to me, kind of feels like jealousy in a sense, because we have been in this pot of crabs trying to climb out of it constantly, but at the same time, when we talk to other crabs in the pot, we tell everybody that we love being in the pot. You know what I'm saying? But there's like this secret part of everybody who's making music that wants to climb out of the pot and be, you know, amongst the next bigger pot or whatever, you know. And now we're seeing more extreme bands like Lorna Shore or other bands that have a more widespread fan base now. They're reaching further, and that we can say it's definitely the internet that's doing that, or it has made that possible. But now it's a weird thing. It's an ego thing. We've gone so many years in this underground thing that we've been like, we're in this underground club, you know, this is the sick club, dude, and I'm totally part of it. But now the club is expanded, and we're like, wait, we don't want all these new members. What are you guys doing here? You know?
Well, I have never seen a person wearing a Lorna Shore piece of merch just in public outside of but I have seen an Archspire hat worn in a Trader Joe's parking lot across from my work. So I'll give that to you guys, that I've witnessed that. And that you're one of the few bands that I've seen like multiple times, just people wearing the shirts. So
well, there is a difference between, I mean, some bands are more merch bands and some bands are more ticket pushing bands, and it might be that you might see an Archspire shirt somewhere, and maybe not another band, but suffice to say, it's that the way that Lorna Shore is doing their business, for me, it's just, I mean, it's real. I don't know. I get inspired by that, and when I see them, and I mean, bands like even outside of the strict extreme kind of bands like Spirit Box, so they're from Vancouver as well, or from Victoria, Vancouver Island. They have a lot more kind of poppy elements, but they have low tuned guitars. They have all like anything like that. Honestly, I think that's cool. Maybe it's not the band that I would put on when I'm like walking around or driving or something like that, but I'm really stoked for a band like Sleep Token that they have metal, they have extreme elements, they have the low tune guitars, and it's like anything like that, it just gives somebody, it gives a few more people just a little bit more of an in to some of the other incredible bands that are in the genre, and I just get fucking pumped.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we talk about it constantly on the show about our stepping stone bands that took us into metal. And then I was just talking about it today with my coworker too. You get past this threshold and then it becomes like, there's no looking back. Well, we all have these stepping stone artists that were our gate, our gateway into it. And I think that, the bands that we've just been discussing are a nice bridge for a good amount of people that would have never come across metal. If they click with that, then they're downloading some software that will help them get to an Archspire or Cannibal Corpse or any of these other bands that might be lurking below the surface that they're at the moment. But it is literally, they're prepping, not prepping, but there's elements that they're adding to their process, their brain waves, that now they can accept certain other bands that we're talking about. And yes, the more the merrier for me, dude. I love metalheads, so why not make more of them?
Yeah. You want to make some more metalheads? Yeah, let's make some. Let's make
Keep
some.
Making the metalheads so I can make more friends, guys.
Yeah, Jedi Grind is demanding that we do the lore, the Dean lore.
All right. Shout out to Murray Murray's in the chat. He's like, wait, I want to know Dean's past. All right, so how we usually start it, dude. I want you to go back into your childhood, Dean. I want you to think about get in the time machine, take us back, and take us to the time where the earliest memory you could think of in your life where music or art penetrated the outer layer and got in.
Okay.
So, we have a lot of sexual innuendos on this one already, dude.
Yeah, I don't really know if that was innuendo. That was just straight up the word penetration. Yeah.
When did you get raped by music? Now we just got the algorithm fucked right there.
Yeah, you fucked it up. I remember when I was, and I've talked about this in a video. I remember when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and my dad got he got an NES, original NES. And he had 2 games that I would watch him play at night. And he played Final Fantasy 1 and Wizardry. And there was something about, I would stay up late, just like watching him play and just kind of listening to the music. And video game music has been a really important part of my life ever since then, really. Nice. But I remember there was one moment in the Wizardry theme song that it just like resonated with me, and I just loved it. And I remember we would have classical music appreciation every Monday or something. They would play like 5 minutes of a piece on the intercom at the beginning of the school day. And when I was in elementary school, maybe like grade 4 or 5 or whatever. And I remember listening to it one day, and I was like, oh, there was something that there was like either a series of notes or there was a similar melody or something. And I went, oh, hey, that was like that game music, like that one moment. I remember like a and this is long before I played music. I remember there was like one thing, and my brain kind of latched onto it. Maybe like a couple years later, I went to my grandparents' place, and they had an acoustic guitar there, just like a shitty steel string guitar. And I kept looking at it, and they lived 3 or 4 hours away, so I went there to go visit them. Maybe somebody died. I don't know what the fuck was there, but and so I remember seeing it, and I was like, man, that's I don't know what that is really. I've seen those before.
Mhm.
And so we got back home, and I asked my mom, I'm like, hey, what's up with that guitar? Like, can I like nobody was like playing, can I have that? And my mom was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, it's not ours, so no. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not anything. And then it wasn't until 4 years later that 3 or 4 years later that I started playing. I think it was at the age of 12, or maybe 13. Maybe I just turned 13. And a buddy had played guitar, and he gave me his guitar just to like try out. I was like in his parents' smoky basement. So it just like reeked like cigarettes, and you'd walk out and you're just like, all your clothes reek because they would just like chain smoke inside upstairs. So downstairs, this is like the basement that I first got like really drunk as a kid too, when I was like 15 years old or whatever. And it's like, it was a basement that I spent a lot of time in.
Totally.
And, and so he passed me his guitar. I'm like, hey, check this out. And I'm like, okay. And I was a really big fan of Tool at the time. And I still am. I like them, but they were my favorite band. And so I picked up his guitar, and I remember playing 2 notes, and I was like, I'm like, oh, that's that Tool riff. And obviously Tool riffs are pretty easy for the most part. Maybe rhythmically, no, but I mean, melody wise, you could probably figure most of them out just by ear, even as a sort of an intermediate guitar player. And I remember thinking, hey, these notes have to go down, but I can't go any further down. And this is literally the first time I've ever picked up a guitar. And I'm like, oh, I guess I don't have it like enough something. And that was because I play everything in drop D, and the guitar was in standard tuning. So like all of those things were like kind of clicking kind of points where I'm like, hey, my brain, and I don't really believe in talent, but what I believe is if somebody has the right mindset or enjoys solving a specific puzzle, because I mean, we just all like solving puzzles, and whether your puzzle is poetry or music or math or whatever, you like the process of figuring something out. And it's not even necessarily the end goal about it. It's more like you have to like the middle section where you suck at it, where you have to figure out how to develop the skills. And if you like that, and I liked that about guitar, there was something about it that I just really liked. And then since then it was really like Tool, and then I got into Opeth, and then I got into Necrophagist and the Faceless, and then by that point I was in my early 20s, and then
so you just hit the gas on me real quick, because the process of getting to a Necrophagist is a long process, and coming across Tool and all that stuff around what you said 12 was
something like that,
Tool's already in your arsenal.
Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about building up to even Tool. What was the first record or band or song or anything that you just couldn't have enough of?
Americana by The Offspring. When I was in grade 6, I bought the CD, and everybody was really jealous, or at least maybe I thought that they were, because I had the CD and nobody else did. And I loved that fucking CD for some reason. I don't know. I loved that CD. Yeah. And so my sister was
How old are you, Dean?
I'm 36.
Okay.
So so I was really into that CD, and I jammed on it a lot. And then I got into Limp Bizkit. Still love Limp Bizkit.
Hell yeah,
Still
dude.
fucking love, like, I'll have like Limp Bizkit reignite my love for Limp Bizkit every 6 months. I'm like, fuck yes, this fucking band rips.
Dude, I'm missing Joel now to back me up on the new metal.
Yeah, you have no backup here, but I will say I have been teaching a student break stuff on guitar at the school, and I'm starting. I'm like a hater, and I'm like, okay, I get it a little bit, fine. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, can you do me a favor? Can you learn the main riff to Nookie? Have you learned it?
No. I mean, I can think of the vocals of that song right now.
The riff is in drop E, or like drop F sharp or something like that. It is so groovy and so simple, and it's like this is a fun fucking riff to play. It's so awesome. And that was the band that I really like. Them and Tool and Korn and like all like Limp. I was really into nu metal and sort of proggy kind of stuff. And then right around the age of, I think, 13 or 14, maybe 15, I got into Dream Theater. And I just fucking dove in so hard into Dream Theater and all these proggy bands, and just I loved all this kind of like, you know, all this sort of the musicianship. And then I found Opeth maybe a year later, and that was my favorite band for many, many years.
Still one of my favorites till this day.
Dude, what a killer fucking band.
What about like-minded people? When did you come across the next person in your life that aligned with the path that you were on with music?
I had some friends that I mean, I grew up in kind of a Christian kind of town, and I've never been Christian or religious in my life, so I was always kind of weirded out by that aspect, but I really loved my friends and they all played music. So it was kind of like, well, either I stay at home and I don't hang out with anybody, or I go to, you know, a weekend long youth camp where I get to bring my guitar and play guitar with them, but then also watch somebody speak in tongues and like convulsed on the floor, and then have a group of people try to convince me to believe in God or something. Like, well, that stuff all makes me feel pretty bad, but I like guitar a lot, so
you've stuck it out.
Yeah.
So you listen to Creed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So when you say you didn't grow up Christian, your parents were kind of just, you know, whatever. Did they have any spiritual aspect to?
My mom was Catholic, but my dad was very, very staunch atheist, and he wouldn't let her talk to us about anything religious.
Wow.
I
mean, I guess, since she's Catholic, she's kind of already, you know, Catholic's kind of like
she
that.
Don't want to talk about it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, Catholic has got the guilt all built in, and also the Catholic. I grew up Catholic too, so or I didn't grow up Catholic. I grew up around Catholics that were trying to make me Catholic up until a certain point, and I said no, and they actually were like, okay, whatever. And I realized that Catholics are more of the okay, whatever, you know. They're not really. It's when you lean more Christian is when they start to get more evangelistic and kind of aggressive with it, you know. Catholics are just like, oh dude, we believe in God, but we also like to party, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe if you're in it, you might fuck some kids too, but
yeah, I just recently went to a Catholic funeral. It was a party and a half, dude, let me tell you. But anyway, no, I did though. It was very boring. But so all my friends are Christian, and you know, whatever. And I, you know, I spent time with them playing music, and my buddy Sean Lang, who's now at a band called Kardashev, he and I basically, I mean, I learned how to jam with someone else with him through kind of playing, you know, Iron Maiden and all that kind of shit. But him and I loved proggy music, and so we'd sit there and try to like, we listened to, you know, the band Planet X, Virgil Donati, like crazy drummer. We would listen and try to like count all the time signatures and try to find the next craziest, techiest band and try to, you know, learn how to count rhythms. And it was like really invaluable to me to really learn music alongside a drummer who was very good. This is a very, very good drummer. And I think that was very, very important to my kind of journey getting into playing with other people, because I still think that playing with other people is kind of the pinnacle of, I mean, I love composition. Composition is my favorite thing in music. If I can sit here and write a really cool thing and just revise it and create more stuff and add layers and stuff, it's amazing. But it really goes from amazing to like all-time fulfilling, life-affirming thing when I add drums and bass and vocals to it. It's like, holy shit, collaborative writing is like the best thing. And a big part of collaborative writing is, maybe not for us right now, but jamming. I mean, it's kind of hard to jam out a bunch of tech death, be like, all right, so check this. All right, no, 1, 2, you know, it's like, what do you do really? But
yeah,
you know, for us, I mean, just learning how to play with other people was really important. And he and I sort of developed a lot of the same kind of musical tastes on that path. And then somewhere along the line, maybe when I was 18, I found Necrophagist. And like, I had listened to a couple bands. Obviously, Opeth kind of got me into. Opeth was a great stepping stone band because they had the melodic, amazing, virtuosic singing, Although I think Michael kind of got a little bit too Celine Dion-y for my kind of taste at a certain point. And he started to add like, it's like, okay, all right. But not really my thing. But like My Arms, Your Hers, Are Still Alive, or Deliverance or Damnation, like all those albums, like Blackwater Park, they just
Watershed Watershed was kind of my stopping point. I still enjoy listening to post Watershed, but I just know that it's not the Opeth that I grew up with, So I still respect it because they finally just like moved on to their full prog side, basically. But Watershed still has some really good stuff. But all the albums that you just mentioned were such a big staple in my listening for so many years, dude.
Oh yeah. What about the rest of you guys? You guys ever get an Opeth?
Yeah. I like the first two a lot too. Those ones are still one of my favorites.
Okay. So do you like the because it was really once Martin Lopez joined the band.
Morning Rise,
yeah, because he wasn't in the first two. He wasn't on the first two, right? I think he joined with My Arms, Your Hers. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah. But the bass player they had on Morning Rise was a standout guy who had never come back. So he's something to check out.
Because then Mendez replaced him for Orchid. Orchid's the second one, right?
I really want to go to the Morning Rise bridge. I've been seeing a lot of content where it's like, bro went to Opeth, and it's like them at
the actual bridge. Yeah,
it's a bridge over a little river in some park in Europe. I mean, in UK and near London, I believe. So that's a bucket list item for me. I'm pretty hardcore. I don't have an Opeth tattoo. The coolest thing I have is a sweatshirt I bought in Bangladesh for $10. That's the Opeth hoodie that I wear and love. So
sweet. Yeah.
Blackwater Park was my first one I ever bought, and I bought it in the winter up in Lake Tahoe, and so it was snowing around me as I bought that album. And if you look at that cover, it totally just works with the atmosphere that I was actually in when I bought it. And
it's definitely funny to listen to Opeth in Southern California.
It's like funny because I bought it because Cradle of Filth put out was it either Midian or the one after that came out on what I don't even know how to pronounce it, Coach or Cock or whatever, KOCH Records. And then I had seen this Opeth record. It looked black metal and it had the same record label, and I was like, all right, I'm buying this. And it wasn't what I was expecting because I was thinking black metal at the time. But what it did to me was, that changed my. We think that we passed the threshold into this extreme music that we listen to and love and play, but there's still so many surprises that happen along the way. There's other stepping stones that we didn't even realize that we were going to come to. And Opeth, like you were saying, Dean, is another one of those stepping stones that we come across, that with the blend of everything that band had would be the perfect package for somebody. His vocals are some of the most brutal vocals I still have heard today. His growl is so fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, it rules. He's awesome.
It rules. And that's kind of like, guys who know that and love that it rules is probably one of the reasons why, the newer Opeth stuff isn't as good, because those extreme harsh vocals aren't there anymore. But dude.
I could see the guitar harmony stuff they're doing being an influence on Archspire for sure. The counterpoint, he really had that down at the very beginning of the band. The like two guitars doing something different all the time, and then maybe coming together on a couple riffs, but like really exploring melody pretty freely and just seeing what happens is a cool thing.
Yeah, you can see it definitely in the way that I demo music at home, and I'll be like, man, this is like really cool. I really like this. And it's probably some Opeth software running back in the back of my mind. But the problem with Opeth as a musician, listening to them, really liking them, and this is the same problem that you have with animals as leaders, is they're easily imitated, but it's impossible to to really equal or replicate them in the same way that they write. Like, I can write an Opeth riff. It'll sound like Opeth, spat out by ChatGPT or something like that. They'll be like, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's got some Opeth influence for sure. It's not super memorable because he writes in such a specific way where he doesn't think about music theory. His chords don't really link up in traditional kind of ways. And I can write that, and I know that it's something that I desperately avoid because I don't want to replicate them. And I guess that goes with most bands, but like them and Animals as Leaders and Tool and stuff, it's like they're so specifically good and laser focused on this writing style that if you come anywhere near it, your ears magnet lock to like, oh, that's what this band is like. Oh fuck, like it sounds too much like, and there's really only like, there's plenty of amazing bands that don't have. I mean, hey, Gojira is a great example of that as well. If you can dig out your own niche that sounds just I guess like unique in a certain way and not necessarily super technical, it's just their voice is very singular, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's hard for me to kind of get away from that sometimes, but I know when my hand goes a little bit too close to the hot pan on a stove, I'll be like, oh shit, okay, no, that's too much.
That's an important impulse to have, is to like always be trying to not just sound like another band. And we have that recognition that turns on. It's like, oh, that people are just going to think I'm just sounding like them. And sometimes you have to override that because you're like, no, the idea's there. I don't care. I'll take the fucking heat or whatever. But sometimes you have to like really, I'm going to trust that I'll find something else that won't turn on any of those lights that I'll really believe in.
True.
And there's so many bands today that a lot of bands also are just like, fuck it, I'm gonna take those blueprints and run with them. I'm gonna do exactly. I want to create another Opeth. I want to create another Gorgasm or something like that. And that's also still, I still applaud people who do that too, because they're just creating something. They're finding a way to utilize their time creatively in some fashion. They could go out and be a school shooter or something, but instead they're back trying to fucking recreate stab wound intercourse.
Well, I think, and I have a couple buddies that are like this, that are incredible musicians. And you just watch them play, you're like, holy fuck, man. Like, where do you come up with these ideas? They're so cool. And then they don't release anything. They don't release any music publicly. Yeah. And it's like, God, you got everything else. You got to put it out there. And not that outside recognition or validation should be everything.
Right.
And maybe that's something that I haven't come to terms with in my life, because I definitely, I'll sit at home and I'll play something and I'll love it and I'll show it to my wife and she's like, yeah, it's okay. And I'm like, fucking goddamn it, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I need that. But I also, I do get a lot out of the process of just making myself stoked on a part, or bringing it to the jam spot. One of the weirdest things about, and I'm sure everybody here has this idea or has this experience, you write something and you come up with, okay, today I'm going to have 3 ideas to bring to jam or whatever. I'll bring 3 ideas. I'll bring 1 that's sick. Second one that's fucking awesome. Third one is a throwaway idea to kind of pad out everything so that they don't think that I've just been doing nothing at home. It's like, all right, bring 3 ideas. Show them the first one. They'll be like, that one's pretty cool. Show them the second one that I think is awesome. They'll be like, yeah, that's all right. Like, fuck.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Show them the third one and they're like, that is awesome. I'm like, that one? Dude, it's like, that one is boring and derivative. And they're like, no, this is sick. It's like, all right, and maybe I'm really, well, not maybe. I guess I am weak-minded because I will succumb to that every time. I'll be like, yeah, you guys are right. Yeah, it's fucking sick. It's like, no, I didn't think that before, but maybe I'm just one of the cogs that needs to fit into the machine of collaborative writing. Maybe I just need to be part of it because, I can't do that by myself and they can't, not that they couldn't do without me, but it's easier for a group to write when you have, people that all have different influences, but want to write the same style of music. And with Archspire, we've always had the idea that we want to write the fastest, most extreme yet listenable fucking music that we can, and we want to keep pushing the limits of the technical aspect, but we don't want to go too far into the proggy kind of side just because that's not our thing. So we just want to go, and we don't want to add instrumentation. We don't want to add melodic vocals. We want to go as absolutely fast and extreme as possible while still maintaining listenability as much as we possibly can. And that's been the goal since day one. And we weren't great at it at first. And now I think that we're getting okay at it. But the thing about that is, you write yourself into a corner a little bit, and maybe you guys have this experience too, is where you write and you've written, I don't know, however many songs we've written, and we've gone through the process so many times. You get a little worried that you're writing the same thing over and over again. And is that bad? And does it matter? And will people notice? And does it matter to you? And it's like, it's a whole mental thing, right?
It's all subjective, really. It really is. And it is egotistical, it's selfish, but if you still are creating something that makes you excited, that's first and foremost. You gotta keep doing stuff that makes you want to come back and make more stuff. That's it. As soon as you make something that makes you want to put the guitar down, then that might be the time to hang it up. Maybe not, but I mean, we go through lulls and dips and valleys and all that kind of stuff, but I think that if you just stay true to yourself first, no matter what you put out, it's going to be of quality. And when you describe Archspire, it totally hits exactly, all the points that I would bring up if I was talking about Archspire. The fastest, most, still listenable style death tech.
My favorite subgenre, well, second favorite subgenre of death metal is listenable. I like unlistenable a little more.
And when I say that, that's what we're writing, it's like, I'm not saying that we are doing that. I'm just saying that is our goal, to do that as much as we possibly can. And
I'll tell you, every other band slows down. It's really like refreshing that you guys have made part of your modus operandi like speeding up. There are so many bands that have slowed down. Every single other band slows down. I mean, there are a lot of bands with Decapitated who went really hard and really sick and then started getting more mainstream influence, and it's great. And it's like, as long as you guys have the commitment that you guys have, I'm not worried yet. So I think every record has been better so far. So I have high expectations.
I appreciate that.
And I think there's a lot to explore in just what you've carved out. Like, so many interesting melodic ideas, rhythmic ideas remain for you guys.
The thing that I keep wanting to do every album, and I don't know if we're successful at it, but I want to make the crazier parts crazy and the catchier parts more catchy, and the softer parts more soft, and the heavy parts more I want to just
enhance every aspect of it to the fullest degree.
Increase the bandwidth of absolutely everything. So if you're going to go into a slammy part, I want it to be fucking the most sick part. And if you're going to go into a clean part, if you're going to rip off a classical musician like we do every album multiple times, I want to rip it off in a very genuine and faithful way that makes me excited, where I go, hey, you know what I really love about J.S. Bach or Mozart or Ravel or whatever, all these classical composers that I and we all love. It's like, well, I want to do it justice, That's
that really does come across. Sorry, Anthony.
No, it's all good.
The performance of those clean parts, I can hear the Guitar Pro style hanging in the background of so many other bands that will attempt that kind of thing, but it's never like that. It's always there's such a earnest performance of everything you guys have put out. It's really cool. It really transcends the whole this is just metal Bach kind of thing. It's I've heard that, and I'm like, that's not what these guys do. So I think it's important to. Thank you. I think it's important to write something that's idiomatic to the instrument when it comes to anything. But when you're writing something, you can tell when a riff is guitar pro'd from day one. You can maybe not every time, but there's certain movements that just
are naturally guitar player movements. It's like, oh yeah, that chord or whatever, and you can stretch that, and you can play crazy stuff like Tosin Abasi does, or Jason Richardson. But if you have a natural something that is loyal to the sound of the guitar and how somebody would pick it up. I mean, I always kind of compare myself to, and I mean, comparing yourself is obviously a bad idea, but when I listen to, and there's a small group of people that I think do this, when I listen to guitarists like Jeff Loomis or Vogue from Decapitated, or there's a few others that are naturally, they have this natural feel to them. Like specifically Vogue, actually, when you hear his riffing, I mean, the stuff that he wrote on the earlier Decapitated records, they're like, I don't know, man. They have such a natural feel to them. It's almost like they were just like he just improv the whole fucking like it's like, how did you write all this and just have such a natural groovy feel that locks in and it's still so technical?
It's like there's another element to a guitar player that maybe not most death metal guitar players have, you know. I mean, you're going out with Alluvial. I would say Wes is a good example of that too, dude.
He's so good.
Go for it, Casey.
Oh, I was just gonna add just real fast. I think an interesting thought, like kind of to what you're saying, Dean, is like someone like Vogue who like also wrote such cool shit, like not just has the technique and style of playing it to sound the right way, he also wrote it. Okay. So like that's an interesting cross of like skill, and you have to be able to play the guitar in the first place to imagine like what that kind of rhythmic and like, you know, like if it's really dynamics on you know, like with chunking and stuff. You think of, you know, even with drumming and like death metal and loud drumming, there still is an element of dynamics, you know. And and so same thing with guitar, even with loud distortion and all that, there's still it's important, you know. And so like that's kind of a weird thought, is like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like it's like to be able to play that stuff, or like writing it and then learning to play it. I guess you'd have to be able to play it first, but it's almost like simultaneous.
You made me just think of this. So I mean, it has nothing to do with death metal, but they're one of my favorite MCs. His name's Dose One, Adam Drucker. Shout out. He he talks about exiting the arm, and he has an album called Exiting Arm, and it literally pertains to an idea that starts here, but it doesn't come into this reality until it exits the arm. So a guy like Vogue has the idea and figures out a way to exit that idea through his arms onto a fucking built fucking, I mean, guitar, you can't call it a machine, but like it's something man-made. So he's using his arms to take his idea out of his head and use another way of expressing it. And not only does he express it with this thing, but he plays it in such a way that it's spoken in a way that most people can't recreate it, because there isn't it's not just the notes, but it's the way it exits his arms.
I think kind of the point is almost like from the arm back, there's something about holding the guitar and having muscle memory familiarity with the instrument that can change what the brain starts to think through, and like what actually would sound good. Or
the guitar becomes a part of that cycle that you're talking about, that exiting the arm and then coming back to the brain. There's this constant and forth system, and the guitar becomes a part of the system, exit outside of your body, yet you bring it in, and then it becomes one with your system that you've created with your brain and your limbs.
Yeah, you can really deconstruct it to a point where you're like, what are notes? Why do we like them? Where do notes come from in our brain? Why did I choose to play that note? And there's a fucking awesome video that Guthrie Govan just posted on Instagram. He talks about how this buddy of his, he owns some martial arts dojo or whatever, and he said his friend who was teaching kids, the kids would come up to him and be like, I want to learn this fucking kick or some crazy fucking thing, like a question mark kick or whatever. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, I mean, I'll teach it to you, but you won't be able to use it until your brain is fast enough to use it without knowing that you use it and have to use it. So like if your brain gets to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to use this now, then you cannot do it. But if your brain is like, just does the thing because that's the thing that you do at that moment, then you are able to use that technique. And it goes back to guitar as well. If you could learn all the sweeping, you could learn all the shredding or whatever, but if
we don't think to use our fingers, we don't think to use our arms, it just happens. So bringing something else into it, it becomes a part of that central nervous system type deal where your brain is almost communicating with the thing that you're interacting with completely. It becomes
it goes back to then, and this is probably too deep, but we don't have any free will because we didn't choose to decide to make that choice to do that note. Dude. Where did the thought come from? If we didn't think about the thought before we thought about it, then
it's so ironic you brought that up, dude. I just sent like a video to David, the original guitar of ODS, and we have this group chat. Anyways, like that guy, what's his name? Polanski. What's his name?
Robert Polanski.
Robert Polanski. Yeah, whatever. He's like the no free will guy, whatever. And there's like this video where there's all these other old dudes. They all look like wizards, and they're just fighting. They're just like, but if there's no free will at all, then what you're saying is preposterous because of the. And they all have these beards like down to here, and it's fucking hilarious.
I'm sorry, wait. There's a video of a bunch of wizards fighting. Dude,
I'll send it to you, dude. It's great.
There's
a few. Right, I gotta join now. Okay.
Yeah, here he is.
There he is, dude.
Speaking of wizards fighting,
Gorilla showed up.
But here's the thing: did you think that you wanted to join before you joined, or did you just? Is that part of your free? Where did that thought come from? Just kind of came.
Dude, what told your
wizard
finger to
I got
click
a spell
button,
cast on me by a wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
It was his will, not mine.
Well, you got a bunch of crazy guitars behind you. Damn, that's sweet.
We had no choice.
I know you got. I saw you got a green guitar in the back too. We're kind of just little twinsies, a little bit.
Yeah. I got a green guitar, no big deal. Yeah.
It's kind of a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
So Joel, you're an hour behind. So ask all the questions you want now.
Yeah,
Jesus,
take over, dude.
Let's see what you got.
So
Talk about
what got you into
your
music?
hands.
Damn, there's so many things, Dean. I don't want to gush. I'm just going to gush right now if you put me on the spot. But just about your podcasts and everything, and I mean your live videos with your wife and all that stuff. It's not just. I know compliments are annoying, but damn, it's fucking sick, dude. I really love all the content you're putting out there, and I had questions. I was told Carrie texted me that we went through the Offspring Limp Bizkit talk, and I missed that, so I'm a little bummed. But Smash was the first album I ever purchased, so whenever that gets brought up, I'm always all ears. And I actually went on a Limp Bizkit listening run recently again, just to kind of
so good.
I love Westmoreland. Like I'm a huge Westmoreland fan.
Dude,
but yeah,
real quick, now that we're back on Limp Bizkit, and I talked about this a couple times. So I'm sure that somebody, if you're listening to this, you may have heard me talk about this, but imagine the confidence that you have to bring a riff to your rehearsal space when you're doing a writing session. And everybody's kind of whatever hanging out. You're like, okay, I got this riff. I don't know. I think maybe you guys like it. And it's 2 fucking notes, and it goes.
It's just one of those days,
dude. And it's like, and imagine I don't have the confidence to do that. I just don't.
Do you know what I tripped out on that exact riff? That it's not dan and it's dan. And I was like, oh shit! That's my whole life. It's been.
You guys keep doing it. I'm just gonna do it, dude.
Yeah, that's true. It is actually dun. It is actually.
Yeah. My whole life, because I think the bass is going like going with the lower note. Yeah, and it's always like I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
okay, on the Songster tab, it's a power chord into a tritone with the root note staying the same. I don't know what the bass does. That's the Songster.
Okay.
Like if I was to learn it by ear, I would think it was dun, dun.
Dun. Yeah,
but it actually is dun. It's like it goes. It's like the low note move or something about the. It isn't what I thought it was, and I keep getting it wrong.
I can't believe Joseph came in with like, this is how it's actually break down. We're breaking stuff, but you guys got to break it down, dude. Just break it down a little bit.
Probably a video of like Rick Beato, who's just like, this is the most amazingly written riff because you don't know like all the.
Yeah. I feel like Rick would probably appreciate that. I think
probably
he would. You know what I mean?
He would.
That song started the complete downfall of Woodstock '99, dude. That's when that song was played, dude. It turned everybody into animals, dude.
Also, have you guys watched live footage of them lately? Because I have.
Yep.
Where he comes out like an old guy.
My favorite thing that they do is they open with break stuff.
Oh,
then they play their set, and then they close with break stuff.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, dude. They play the same song twice, dude.
That's great.
I mean, Aaron Lewis did it, but he did it because he was drunk. He forgot that he fucking played the song and he played it again. Now they're actually doing it.
It's so good, dude. And they also have, what do they have in the background too? On the banner, they have something cowboy, new metal cowboy.
New metal cowboy. That's right. And he's got like a cowboy hat on and the whole mustache. I know. They're parodying themselves, and it works. Like I think it's hilarious.
I think that element's awesome.
Yeah. Because even Trevor and Carrie went to go see them. I missed it at Aftershock, but that's the first show they did where they opened with break stuff and closed with break stuff. And they said they're not fans of Limp Bizkit at all, and they said they were cracking up the whole time. They were having
I hope he has like some fun banter before they play it again. Like
he's stuck in character. He's just stuck in this cowboy character. And then he did another show. Mike Leon from he plays in like Soulfly and a bunch of those bands. He was hanging out with Fred Durst. This is his story to me. Was hanging out with Fred Durst and had that mustache, those chops. and then the next day, Fred shaved his mustache into the chops and then became like an old dad and like pretend like he was like a dad the whole time. And like Mike's like, I gave him the fucking idea. What the fuck? He's all like that stuff. But
I would actually welcome Cannibal doing Hammer Smash Face in the beginning and Hammer Smash Face at the end.
That's funny. I was thinking the same.
I would welcome that.
Well, I don't know.
I was thinking strip raped and strangled.
Or no, he just does the whole rap that he does about coming out of his dick, and it's I come blood in the beginning, and then he says it again.
I'm gonna go see them on Saturday, so maybe that's what they're doing now. I don't know.
That'd be sick, dude.
It'd be sick.
Hey, them just playing Red Rocks.
Have you seen them with Rutan? Have you seen them with Rutan yet?
Yeah. I saw them. I saw them a couple times. I saw them in. Where do we see them? I've seen him play with them 2 or 3 times now.
That's the quintessential death metal guitarist, dude. Watching him, watching all the Hate Eternal stuff, and then seeing him with Cannibal, I'm like, that is the essence of death metal in one person, right there.
Yeah. Eric Rutan is just a death metal. He's a death metal.
He's a death metal.
Like his stance sick, and
I think honestly, although I gotta. And no shade, because I fucking love Cannibal Corpse, but they fucked up on that new album, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. In my opinion, okay, have you guys heard the song "Bloodblind"? It's one of their new singles, one of the ones off the new album.
Dude,
probably.
Why you put me on the spot?
The fucking okay, yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it. That's fine.
Yeah,
the song starts out with this fucking banger riff. It is so good, and they call it like a fucking. I think Eric Jones said it was like a march that he wrote. It's like even the name for the style of riff that he called is like sick. And they play it 4 times and then they never play it again. And I'm like, that riff fucking slaps and it never comes back.
So they just like compete like 4 measures of the riff and then it never comes back in the song.
It never fucking comes back. And the riff is so fucking good. It's like one of my favorite riffs that they've ever written. And it's
you're just waiting the whole time for it to come back.
Listened to it. It's really sick. It has that immolation feel. I can see where you might dig that part of it.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's got like a real swing to it, and it's super low tuned, and it's all their stuff is, but it's like really clear too. Like it's just such a great riff, and they never go back to it. I'm like, what the hell are we doing here, dude? I mean, I don't know. It's frustrating, but great song.
I get it, dude. I mean, with Cannibal, and I'm gonna be real, the last album that I bought and was into was Kill. That's a long time ago.
Great one.
I'm sure if I listened to all the new Cannibal stuff, I would find stuff that I'm gonna love, But it like. In my life at certain point, like it died down with the digging stopped and I was not really into like wanting to listen to new stuff. I was just like, I'll just listen to Despise the Sun or Pierce from Within or fucking Cabinet or one of these bands, one of these albums, and I know it'll always have what I was looking for. So I had that little bit of time where I didn't dig, and now I'm like, oh, dude, I maybe I need to just fucking, I need to, because if I get to that point where I'm like, oh, I want to listen to Cannibal, I just naturally go back to
the
all
hits.
the albums.
You know what we should do? We should do a. I've been watching the channel that does the tiers of the prog metal bands. We should do that for death metal bands. I've been wanting to do this with you guys. We should rank the Cannibal albums, rank like Suffocation, Morbid Angel, go through the classics.
That'd be a really fun episode where we just do that.
Okay, so I got a question for everybody then.
Yeah.
What is in your opinion the best death metal band name?
Best death metal band name.
I know mine. I maintained mine ever since I heard this band name. But I'm wondering if you guys have one.
Hate Beak.
Brain ass. Oh, sorry.
Okay, a couple bad takes. But yeah, okay, yeah. You need some more time to think about it. I think, yeah.
I would go Defeated Sanity is just
okay. That's a good one.
Yeah, it actually is. That's up there.
That's good. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys mine, and I'm going to tell you the reasons why, and I'm going to tell you one of the things that makes it so sick visually.
All right,
Dying Fetus is the best band name, and they also have the best logo. It is their fucking name in block
letters. Yep.
I don't know what fucking I don't know if they went oops perfect marketing whoops, like I don't know if they accidentally did it, or I wonder if they thought about it in terms of like what's going to be the most, like, because that's not what other bands did. Like, I mean, I know they had an old logo or whatever, and now they combine the old and the new logo into one thing, which I'm not as big of a fan of. But
they did incorporate the death metal logo, but I'm now thinking about it. It wasn't until later on.
Yeah,
all their first maybe 2, 3, 4 albums were the block letters, and then Cranial Impalement may have been the first one.
Really?
That they had the death metal logo on.
I don't think.
Not Cranial. That's a Disgorge.
What did I just? It's Cranial Impalement. What am I talking? Which one am I talking about? That EP.
They gutted, dude.
No.
Yeah. Which one? A Grotesque Impalement.
There it is. Very close.
Yeah.
There it is. See,
I was about to look it up. I'm like, nope. I know. I'm not a poser. I know my death metal.
I'm a straight up death metal, I think you might be right. I think Dean's right, because it just. I mean, also too, just the name just tells you everything you need to know. It's like
and I would
just
say
straight ahead.
Cannibal Corpse is second. Cannibal Corpse is second.
Yeah, Deicide sounds cool, but you don't really know what it means. Like it's Dying Fetus is straightforward. It's like this is exactly we're gonna incorporate an image just by the sound of our our band name. It's literally so just you don't even have to hear our music to see how gnarly we are.
I know, and they're all super nice. That's the best part.
Yeah, super nice guys. Yeah.
And what's the greatest album cover of all time?
Oh, fuck.
Regurgitate.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
I just think of John Gallagher going back to a high school reunion and being like, "What have you been up to, dude?" "Oh, I've been in the band Dying Fetus." "Oh, that's crazy, but like, what song should I check out?" "Oh, Kill Your Mother, Rape Your Dog." "Oh, dude, sick, dude."
Yeah,
it's on its like tax forms. It's like Dying Fetus Incorporated.
Well, we did a tour a long time ago with a band you guys probably know, Cannibal Corpse.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. We met those guys once.
Yeah. And so they have, at the time, they had a weed nug guy that would come on stage with them and fuck around and do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so we always imagined them after a show crossing the border into Canada and be like, all right, cool. What's your band name? It's like, the driver is dressed like the nug guy. You know, they didn't have time to take off the costume. It's like,
yeah,
that's so good.
Like, you're not coming in here. It's like,
we're
we are weed.
Yeah.
So as we've noticed, coming out of Canada is a lot easier than going in. How is coming out of Canada for you guys, since you're
we've had more trouble going out of Canada into the States just because we have to do a lot of paperwork. But honestly, in terms of helpful border guards and people that don't have a chip on their shoulder and want to take it on people, generally going into the States is a little bit easier. The paperwork notwithstanding.
Yeah, it always sucks to be at customs, dude.
Canada is like rolling the dice. Like you never know what you're going to get coming in. They can just be like, cool, or they can be like, all right, so drop your trousers.
Yeah,
we're gonna, we've had
that experience in both directions for sure. But yeah, you're right. I think typically going back into Canada, I remember one time they were like, we're crossing Washington State into British Columbia where we live, and we're going across the border, and this is like maybe 6 years ago. So this is before weed was legalized. I don't even know. I don't suppose. I think it's federally legal here. I don't remember. And so we're crossing the border, and they say the Canadian border guard says, "Hey, so do you have any marijuana?" I'm like, "No." I was like, "Oh, well, it's totally legal, in the province of British Columbia. So do you have any?" I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Well, it's totally fine if you do. It's totally fine. Have you ever had any in the van?" I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Are you totally sure?" I'm like, "Yes." Hey, dude, you're not gonna fucking catch me on that. I'm not gonna say yes to any of these questions.
Right.
It's like, have you ever seen it in your life?
Oh, how many people do they catch with that every day? It's like, well, it's totally fine. You can totally. It's like, okay, well, I had one. It's like, pull over. It's like, fuck.
We used to just tell him like, we would tell him like with Decrepit, like, because Bill looks the way he looks. We just be like, we're trying to be a professional band. We got rid of it. We had marijuana on us for sure, but we smoked it a few hours ago. And like but we're not stupid. And then like maybe not a few hours. Don't say like we're all high right now coming in. But no,
we just
I would
the last of it. Yeah.
I remember we did all that, and there was they brought the dog on us, and then the dog got triggered by something in the vent. And so they made us all go into the holding cell, and we're like, "No, we swear to God, we were trying to be pro. We know this place is here. We're not. It's that checkpoint in New Mexico, Texas area, and we're like, we're not stupid. We know we're not fucking around." And they good cop, bad cop copped us, and so the guy started yelling at us. And then as we're in there's just a reggae band that's just high as fuck, and they're just like all sitting there like, "Nah, dude, we don't have anything on us." And they're like, and they find like a pound on them in there while we're sitting in there, and we're like, "Oh fuck!" And they're all getting put in cuffs like right in front of us. And but yeah, they found like a little residue or something, and like we're like, "Dude, that's not. Sorry, I didn't know it was like a thing." Yeah, they like almost ripped apart our whole van. And same with cephalic, crossing to Canada with cephalic. They like, I told that story before, but Lenzig kept getting bit by the drug dog. I'm like, dude, you are such a stoner. The dog's like biting you, dude. Like every time the dog would go by him and just like attack him, I'm like, damn, okay.
It's like it's in his body. It's inside of his body.
Oh man,
like twice.
Blood. It's like,
well, I find that a lot of the times the border guards, I don't know about the checkpoint guards, but the border guards oftentimes they pick one thing to grill you on. So whether it's weed, whether it's a visa paperwork, whether it's, fruits, whether it's, something else, whether it's illegal immigrants, like they pick one thing that day. And if you don't have that one thing, they'll grill you on that one thing and then they'll leave you alone. And so it's like, it's kind of strange because it's like you get prepared for every possible outcome. And I mean, I've gone across the border. I'm always the dude in the driver's seat crossing the border. And, I'm always as absolutely pleasant as I can be and as submissive as I can be to them because I know that, I don't want to challenge anybody. I just want to get through and just go to work. And like, I don't want anything weird to happen. And just playing that kind of mindset, it's been really helpful. But when they grill you on something like vape pens, I'm like, bro, I don't have any. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's like, here's all of our visa paperwork. They're like, yeah, we don't care about that. So vape pens, I'm like, dude, it's like,
you mentioned fruit. That is actually the more risky thing to bring into another country is fruit that is not native to that spot. It can, you actually get some seeds planted and it could be detrimental to the area that it's and eventually grows in. But if we're just smoking a little pot, dude, it's just like, it's crazy to me. We're not going to drop seeds out of our pocket and weeds gonna sprout and then take over fucking farms and shit. But there's other things that could actually bring, pests and other things that aren't native that are detrimental,
It's true, man. Yeah, it's weird the things they pick to rib you for, but
all right,
the way you said it too, they probably just all get in a room. They're like, all right, like morning meeting. What are we going to focus on today? Is it going to be like vape pens? Is it going to be like avocados that are coming through? We're catching.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Gotta catch those watermelons, dude. Make sure they're seedless.
Yeah. But then every once in a while, you do get the metalhead border guard, and then you're like, oh, I'm in good hands. He's like, hey man, you guys in a metal band? I'm like, yeah, we are. He's like, Slayer. I'm like, oh, dude, we're getting through. Dude,
we're in, dude. That works in all social realms too, and that's what's great about being a metalhead, dude. You could be at the grocery store and somebody has a Slayer shirt. They see your fucking, Metallica shirt, and then you each have you throw your horns, and then everybody's like, everybody around you becomes just outside of this little bubble. Oh, you just came into my bubble,
And that point too, if the other person is at a point of a higher point in the power dynamic, and they have control over your livelihood or your immediate future, then you like whatever band they like. Oh, you fucking Kiss, dude. Kiss is sick, dude. I saw that. I don't give a shit about Kiss.
Yeah,
but so Nickelback rocks. Like what's your favorite album?
Yeah, I'm from the same town as him. Whatever. Yeah, I'll give whatever fucking tidbit that I know. I don't give a shit.
Are you from the same town? Because isn't he Canadian?
Yeah. He lives in. I'm from a town called Abbotsford. It's a city in BC. It's about an hour. It's about 45 minutes away from Vancouver, and that's where I grew up. And Chad Kruger's got a house somewhere. I know a bunch of people that like worked at music stores in Abbotsford when I was younger, and they're like, "Hey, Chad Kruger just came in." I was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Yeah.
Trip. All right,
drive his yellow Hummer in there. And stuff.
I know we weren't going to have you as long as we want you tonight, but I still want to know a little bit. Pre-Archspire, did you have any other promising groups that you had started before the band?
I had a band that I was in. It was sort of like a Darkest Hour, Black Dahlia Murder style band, although it was also a little bit more like kind of progressive elements in there. We played about 35 shows when I was 19 to 20. And we played across Canada a little bit. Like we did mostly just the province that we're in BC. And then we did, that was all we ever did. But we went to Vancouver Island and played a couple shows. I remember one of the first times I ever remember settling up with a promoter was at the Victoria and Vancouver Island. And I remember we played a show, and nobody was there or whatever. And the promoter said, okay, here's your money. And they gave me $26 and like 36 cents or something. She like handed me like change that like felt in my hands, like fucking weak, dude. But the thing is, I wasn't really like into the business side of it then. I was sort of more like just playing guitar and not even that well. I was okay. I was sort of just kind of learning how to play on stage at that time. And I wasn't really thinking about the direction of the band. I was kind of just like, yeah, sure, whatever you guys want to do, we'll play some shows, whatever, that's cool, I wasn't super serious, but we recorded an album.
What was the band called?
Oh, I'd rather not say. No. The band is called Every Black Minute. Not a great name. And then I was in a band with my buddy Sean called 7 Year Storm, and we did like a couple of recordings, and then he went on to record and write like a full album that I just went and like did all the leads on top of, but it was sort of like a different kind of iteration of the band years later. And then I filled in for a couple of bands, played a couple other shows, but really I found Archspire pretty early on. I think I found a Craigslist ad when I was maybe 22. And the Craigslist ad was like wild. It was like looking for shred lord wizard tech death, and then it had like I'm sure it had Odious Mortem. I'm sure that it had all these fucking band names that at the time I'd never even heard of too, because I was more into like Necrophagist and Opeth, and I just hadn't delved too deeply into like the really kind of the more underground kind of bands other than the ones that I knew, because I didn't have any friends that knew any of I didn't know Spawn of Possession at the time. I didn't know any of those.
Right.
And so I went and jammed with the guys in Archspire, and it was a different bass player, and it was a different vocalist. The vocalist was actually the person who put up the ad. And I remember the first time I heard our drummer Spencer play, I was like, I don't get what you're doing. Like, how are you doing that. Like, I don't even know what that, like, I don't even think I knew what gravity blasting was at the time. Like, you know, and so I remember walking up and I was pretty confident. I was like, dude, I'm fucking gonna get this. I think I'm gonna get this.
Yeah.
And then I just got annihilated while I was at the tryouts. Just fucking annihilated.
Shit.
Everybody was so much better than me. I'm like, cool. So they were like, yeah, you're pretty good. But come back in 2 weeks and like learn how to sweep. And so I was like, okay. So I went home. I remember the feeling of driving home, and I was like, I need to go home and practice. I need to go home and practice. And I practiced for 2 weeks. That's all I did. I learned Jason Becker. I learned Yngwie Malmsteen. All I did was just practice sweeps. And I came back and they're like, holy fuck, how did you do that? I'm like, that's all I did.
You guys told me to do it.
I practiced the entire time, but that was the assignment. So I did that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and they were like, okay, cool. You're in the band. We want another guitar player. I'm like, okay. And I was like, a week later, I was like trying to find other guitar players. Like, I was 100% in from day one. Like,
nice.
There's never been a moment of my life since then that I haven't been 100%. You know,
that's rad, dude.
Kind of weird, but yeah.
I mean, to think about it, it's like you had a trajectory, and then you came across some dudes that were a little further ahead of you. And
way further ahead at the time, yeah. Way further ahead.
So
now I fucking destroy them. Now they say, no, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, way further ahead. And they were all like a little bit older than me too, like 5 or 6 years older than me. So I went in and I was in my early 20s, and they're all almost 30, you know, getting into like kind of 27. Kind of, it's like, okay, so these people are, you know, they've got more experience than I do, and I just really wanted to impress them. And
totally, dude. And I think that's kind of one of the driving forces we're talking about. We were talking about ego and kind of, you know, making things for yourself, but also coming across like-minded people that are further down the line to make you feel like you need to catch up to something. You know, being in this, you know, collective, the Odious Mortem, Severed Savior, Decrepit Birth, Disgorge collective, everybody was friends, but we also were seeing what everybody else was doing, and you just felt like you needed to catch up. You needed to be at the same level as your collective, you know, whether that's one band or multiple bands, but having just a group of people that kind of have a similar goal, and seeing the various stages, you know, before, maybe even behind you too, but at least knowing where you're at and where you want to be, it's easier to find that in something like, you know, a group of people like that.
Yeah. And I mean, also like then from there, it went from me living in the town I grew up in, Abbotsford. 6 months later, I had quit my job. I had moved to Vancouver. I moved in with Spencer into this big house, like a party house, because there was like a free room. And then I started working with him, hanging out with him, being in a band with him, you know, jamming 3 nights a week. It's like my life just absolutely, completely changed within like less than a year. And it was like, so I'm just like in it 100%, and I'm listening to all this new music, and it's like just everything. And so, yeah, you're getting a vibe of kind of like what everybody else is doing, and it's sort of like a really comprehensive crash course on the genre of music. And yeah, it was a very, yeah, it's a lot. I remember the night that we found our vocalist too, Ollie, our vocalist now. He wasn't the original vocalist of the band. There was like, we had another vocalist for a while, and he was great, but he wasn't doing the thing that we wanted. We wanted Tech Nine meets.
I was literally about to say he's the Tech Nine of death metal. I literally was waiting to say that
together. So Spencer was like, you know, I knew this guy in Victoria, and you know, where Spencer was from, and he's like, I know him, and he's a really cool guy, really fun to hang out with. And then he moved to Toronto to go do more stuff with his band, and then they just moved back to Vancouver like 6 months earlier, because I guess it didn't really go their way with their band in Toronto. And so he's like, yeah, I know him, and we're looking for a vocalist, but I'm too drunk to talk to him right now. I just can't do it. And so I'm like, I'll call him. So I called him. I'm like, hey, man. And he's like, I've never met this guy before. And I'm just like, you want to be in our band? Like, I didn't know what he did. I just kind of, you know, and it was a similar kind of thing. Like, this guy had never done super fast rap death metal, but he was really into rap, and he was really into death metal, and he was really into playing shows. And we just lucked out with a lot of people the same kind of way. Like our guitar player, Toby, the other guitar player, he was in another band in Vancouver. They were like announcing the last show. Spencer and Ollie both knew him, and they're like, man, this guy's so good. He's got to be in our band. He's fucking rad. I'm like, okay, sweet. I'd never heard him play, whatever. So we watch his set. I had heard him play, but not by himself. I'd never hung out with him. They play a show at the Rickshaw here in Vancouver. I'm sure you guys all know the venue.
Yeah.
And disgusting venue. Well, I mean, it's nice. I like the venue. Just disgusting
inside.
venue.
Once you get inside.
Yeah, inside's great. Love the people there. It's awesome. But so I'm watching him play his last show with that band. We take his stuff into a cab and we drop it off at our jam spot that night at about midnight. And I get there, drop off all his stuff, and I'm like, cool. Are you good at guitar? Because I don't know what you're like. I have no fucking clue. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, oh, perfect. All right, sweet. It's kind of, and it all just kind of worked out for the most part.
You guys kind of kidnapped him in a sense.
Yeah, and then that takes me to Jared, our bass player, and I'd really rather not talk about him.
And we're out of time.
Oh shit! We're out of time.
Yeah.
Nice.
We don't talk about bass players very much on this show. So.
Well, I guess my closing statement with you guys is there's the element of the early 2000s tech death in Archspire that is enough to draw a more OG fan like me or these guys in.
Yeah.
And it gives just enough of familiarity to me, plus so much more unique and exhilarating pushes on the genre itself. I just applaud Archspire as a project. I think that what you guys are doing is great. It gives me everything. I'm going to say it's one of the few newer tech death bands that I get excited about. It's hard for me to still feel excited about a lot of bands that are coming out today, and when Archspire puts out something new, I get excited, and it always is something that I'm looking for when I listen to it. I mean, that the newest record you guys put out it blows me away when I listen to it. There's so many good, a lot of like Spawn elements to like that Tech 9 fast. That's totally Dennis, dude. It's totally, I feel like it's just like Dennis may have started the fast stuff.
Chalky.
Chalky was doing that too. Yeah. And that it takes me back to nostalgic parts of my brain where I think about those times, and I'm just glad that those styles are still reverberating into 2024.
Well, we were writing the other day, and when Toby said, hey, I know we don't have a lot of we have a lot of riffs, but just we've heard all of them before. We're trying to write a new song. He's like, I got one. It's pretty old. I wrote it like 5 years ago. It's kind of like, it's like pretty Spawn of Possession kind of style. It's like, yes, let's hear it. He brought it in.
Play it immediately.
Yes, let's use that. Yes, that band isn't really doing anything anymore. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, that's awesome. And one thing actually I want to throw in there too. I want to throw sorry, I have mountain internet right. I can tell my internet's a little fucked up. But just to see you guys in Santa Cruz at the atrium, where you guys were playing for maybe 40, 50 people. This is maybe 6 years ago. And then to see, Cheney and Naveen were like some of my best friends around here until they moved. But to see you guys go and play, it was the atrium. That show was actually initially going to be in the atrium, and then it got upgraded to the main room. And then you guys fucking sold out the fucking house in Santa Cruz. I was like taking pictures. I was taking videos and sending to them. Well, this is the biggest death metal show ever in Santa Cruz. This is the most people I've ever seen at a death metal show. To see people just going crazy, and I was like, it's fucking. I mean, there was probably some factors of people were dying to come back to a show. There's some like kind of COVID-y factors, but at the same time, it was like sold out like quick. It wasn't like slow. It was like people went sold out in the atrium immediately, and then they moved it to the big room. And then the big room was like a few more days and it was sold out. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Tell you, that show was so fun. but someone stole our lighting rig at the end of that show.
Fucking California. We can never give you nice things, dude.
Yeah, we just couldn't find it. We're like, bro, we packed this up. Where the fuck is it? And we called the venue and they're like, no. It's like, what? Dude, we didn't leave it outside, man. It's like, I don't know.
That everyone shared? The lighting, the backlighting?
No, it's just ours.
Okay,
it was just like, it was like a series of maybe like 6, I think, moving LED bars, and they were just fucking gone. It was the third show of the tour. I think so. I don't remember what year. I don't remember when it was, but yeah, that was
bummer,
yeah. Oh, hey, I don't give a fuck. It was a great tour. So, but hey, speaking of great tours, can I now I feel like we're wrapping up. Can I quickly plug this tour that we're going on real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
oh my goodness. My band Archspire is playing the Everything is Fucked, or rather Everything's Fucked tour, starting May 31st. It's us, Archspire, with a board with Carcosa and Alluvial, May 31st to June 30th. It's all across the US and Canada. Please come to the shows, please.
Dude, Alluvial, we plugged them already on the show, but those are our homies, dude.
Archspire, actually.
Archspire.
Yeah, that's close enough.
And here are the dates.
Yeah, let's check out some dates.
Yeah, and let me tell you, like I said earlier, if you live in Saskatoon, if you live in Quebec City, if you live in Austin, if you live in please buy the tickets to the shows.
Austin, what are you doing, dude? I mean, Texas is supposed to be that's supposed to be our mid-state central hub to baton pass us to the East Coast. What are you guys doing in Texas?
I'm sure it'll crush. But right now the pre-sales are a little bit low for that one city. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But I'm sure everything will work out just fine.
I blame Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. One last thing from me. I saw you guys at the Atrium, the aforementioned Santa Cruz venue, in like 2013 or 2012 even. First time I saw you guys roll through, you played the Small Room, is the one we were talking about. Yeah. And at the time I was like, yeah, I don't know. There's just kind of another kind of Origin ripoff tech band, and you guys really proved me wrong, man. So, so shout out.
That's another great band, by the way. Origin fucking rips.
Your singer whipped out his balls. Got his balls on.
Oh no! Dude.
And I was in the very front, like I was like within ball tapping reach. So I was like, oh god, step back.
Well, and this is the last little tidbit I'll give you guys. You guys know he has his balls tattooed.
I think that's might have why he did.
What are they? What's on them?
So I was with him when he got them tattooed. I took a video, and I don't know where the video is. It must have been on one of my really old cell phones. I can't find it, but he got the word sluts tattooed on his nuts with Slayer S's and an upside down cross.
Oh fuck, dude.
So that's what he has to live with.
I would get some nipples on the bottom, like make it look like 2 tits.
Well, I'll tell you what. So he goes, okay, so he's staying there, and his tattoo artist is like, okay, yeah, you ready? He's like, yeah, I think so. He's probably kind of drunk at this time, and he stretches out his balls on the table, and as soon as the tattoo machine goes, he just starts dripping sweat. Just red, so red, dude. Covered in sweat. He's like, and I'm crying.
He doesn't want to pull away. He'll fuck his shit up, dude.
And so he does one pass on all the lines, and he's like, "Oh my god, thank you so much. Oh my god, that was horrible." He's like, "I got to do another pass," and all he's like, "Okay, fuck." I don't know. I don't even think it took longer than 20 minutes, but I think it was probably. Most horrible minutes of his life.
I've been tatted enough to where they got to spread your skin. So did he have to like fillet it out, like spread it out for him? Oh fuck, dude.
That's exactly what he was doing. Yeah.
At least it's not on the testicle. That's the worst. That would be the nightmare.
I think the skin is so stretchy that you would never really have to tattoo on the. You know what I mean? Like you can always kind of move stuff around, and at least like with your elbow, you can move it a little bit, and then you can kind of avoid. For the most part, anyway.
You can grab a nut each hand and spread, and then in between the nuts is an open canvas, dude.
It was pretty amazing to watch, honestly. It was a very memorable time for me, and I'm sure for him. Although I'm sure he probably, I don't know, maybe he doesn't regret it. I don't know. He's married now, so I've never talked to his wife about it. I wonder what. I'm sure
She's like, I don't know why every session is just pretty satanic, dude. It just feels weird. Like
session? What the fuck? Session?
I know, right?
Your sex sessions, dude.
Are you a robot, dude?
Log in for your session.
Yeah,
log in for my session.
Yeah, I gotta punch
Honey,
my
you want to
ticket.
go have a
Punch my
session?
ticket just like Archspire does when they go to rehearse, dude.
Yeah.
Ticket, dude.
There we go.
My buddy who has a tattoo shop down here, shout out 454 tattoo. We asked him one time about tattooing like wieners, and he's like he's had to a couple times, like these military guys come down especially, and he's like $1,000 minimum, like right off the bat, just right off the bat, at least $1,000, just for even if it's 20 minutes, whatever. And you have to like stretch it out, you know. So you have to like hold it in one hand and hold it stretched out, and then whatever. And to put welcome aboard on it or whatever the fuck. The sailor shit.
I have a lot of tattoos. I don't think I'm gonna ever get my dick tattooed. I think I probably do. I'm okay. My hands and my feet and my head and my dick. I think those are probably the areas I'll probably, and maybe my butt cheeks also. I probably won't get this done, but maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny to think of the fat upper dick area, like shaving that and putting it. But dude, I have so many pubes that grow out of that, it would just not even be worth it.
Yeah,
it would be lost in a sea of pubic hairs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a great way to end this podcast.
Yeah, I was just about to say. So thank you for being with us.
I think we all sometimes feel like we're lost in a sea of pubic hairs.
I mean, that's life, dude.
Oh yeah, so Summer Slaughter 2021.
Here we go. Yeah.
Let's do. Okay,
elephant in the living room.
We'll wrap up. I actually have heard about this, but I did not go and do any research. But I hear that everybody's very disappointed in Summer Slaughter's.
I look at it as a movie. Like, you know how like investors everything's a remake nowadays, and everything's like they know they're gonna make money off of it.
Yeah.
They know it's gonna be like a prime investment. So they do something that they bring bands on that are obviously going to draw, and they're not really worried about like, oh, if it's badass or not. They're like, no, does it make money? Because we want to make our money back. Kind of.
That's a great take, dude. I agree with that.
I think people vote with their money, and if ticket sales, I'm sure will be good enough for the tour does well. A lot of people that are complaining online are. I do think that they alienated the fan base a bit, but honestly, the brand has been kind of dead for a few years anyway. So I think it's a combination of building up this promo for this tour that's supposed to be one way, and then presenting it, and it's actually a totally different way. And people, I think, are just bummed out that the tour wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And I mean, that's fair. I mean, especially 2024, it's a tough year to build a tour package that's all the death metal bands that you wanted. I mean, they're all already on tour. It's like either they booked it too late or whatever. They're already out there, and I'm sure Devastation on the Nation is going to be sick too. Chaos and Carnage is going to be sick. All the sickest bands are going to be on tour, and they do have some killer bands. Brand of Sacrifice has a lot of buzz right now. Veil Maya has always been good. It's just not the death metal tour that people wanted, and I totally understand that. But you can never really, as they say, you can never really truly go home. They're not going to have a fucking Necrophagist tour. They're not going to have a fucking Decapitated headliner. They're not going to have, all these bands. Like, they're not going to have Cannibal Corpse headline. Either these bands are too big for that, or for whatever other reason they wouldn't select those bands nowadays because of popularity, availability, whatever it is. It's just it's not going to be what you wanted. And hey.
It's a bunch of dudes that are coming up on 40, just like we all are, that are, are now in their stage of life that they're saying, oh, remember the good old days, Yeah. These kids these days don't know what it was like when that first Summer Slaughter came, Decrepit Birth and Necrophagist on the same bill. You guys don't understand what the feeling is like to be in the room with those two bands on the same bill. It's just like
they really don't.
I'm psyched on Veil Maya though. I'm psyched on Veil Maya though.
At the same time, they'll have that same story with the new group that's coming through. There's a new Summer Slaughter ticket buyer now, and when they go, they're going to have the same stories for the next generation, and they're going to do the same thing we're doing now, saying these kids these days. It's just a everlasting fucking loop back cycle that we keep doing. just make sure we comb through it and get our Battleforge coffee and drink it while we're doing that.
Yeah.
Go buy that coffee there, guys.
Fuck yeah, Dean. Thanks for hanging out, Dean. I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, no problem.
Dean, since we've had a shorter episode with you, I'd love to have you come back on and hang out with us again if you would do that in the future.
Sure, that sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a session.
Most definitely. And
session it up.
Have a session.
It'd actually be cool to talk to your wife as well. Get her side of this too. Maybe have her a guest.
Yeah, I'll try to dig her up. She's around here somewhere.
Cool, dudes. All right, well, generatorrehearsalstudios.com, Oceanside, California, CaliDeathPodcast.BigCartel.com. Dean, where do you want people to go?
Go to hell. No, go to my go to the tour. We're archspiretickets.com. We got a tour. Please
go show up in person.
Hang out. Yeah.
And rock out because you'll have a great time, no doubt. Alluvial and Archspire on the same fucking bill. You guys are crazy to not go there.
Hell yeah.
Wherever, and there were so many dates. You guys have plenty of opportunities. Please buy the tickets.
Please buy the tickets.
All right. And video.